welcome to Talk About It Tuesdays. I missed last week. I'm sorry I wasn't able to post a video, but I've got one for you today. And today's video is called Find Your Twang. And I'm starting my evening off with a little cocktail. So, cheers to Talk About It Tuesdays. And today's video will require you to be a little bit silly and playful with your voice. So, if that's uncomfortable for you, maybe you want to get yourself a cocktail as well. You don't have to, though. Before we get started, I wanted to ask if you have not already, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. This allows more people to reach me who are interested in gender affirming voice. And also drop me some comments to let me know what types of videos you might be interested in seeing in the future. What are some problems you might be having when you're using your new voice or when you're exploring your voice? What are some things that you feel that you need some extra help with? Okay. That being said, let's go ahead and get started so that you can find your twang. Okay, so you've been working on expanding and modifying your voice, and maybe you feel like you've achieved the pitch range that you were hoping for, and you're even feeling pretty good about the resonance that you've developed, but you're struggling with maintaining your desired pitch and resonance when you're in a noisy environment or in situations in which you need your voice to project and carry. That is where twang comes in, and why we're going to work on it today. So let's first start by defining what twang is. Okay, so when you hear the word twang, you might think of a cute Southern accent or a country singer, and that is one definition of the word twang. But when we're talking about voice, it refers to a very bright and sometimes a piercing vocal quality that's achieved by modifications we make to the vocal tract. And what this does is it allows the higher formant frequencies to be amplified or to be made louder. So, for example, excuse me, if you're old enough to have seen the hit TV program The Nanny, which is starring Fran Drescher, her voice is very distinctive because of her vocal twang. And she is particularly nasal, and when we work on this today, we're going to be trying to add a little bit of nasality. Twang can have nasality, it does not have to have excessive nasality. But we do want to focus on getting the sound in the mask. So, in today's exercise, Find Your Twang, I'm going to be showing you ways to find that bright, high frequency energy that's going to allow your voice to carry and be heard, but without the strain. That's the key here. We don't want to have the vocal strain. And we don't want you reverting to the heavier, chestier voice quality. Okay, so let's just review what our goal here is. So, the goal is to achieve a clear voice, to produce voice easily and without effort. That's really important because as you're working to develop your voice, the tendency might be to move too quickly, and which can cause a lot of strain in the laryngeal muscles. So we also want to increase the oral and to some degree nasal resonance, and to increase the loudness when it's needed without placing strain on the voice. So vocal twang isn't necessarily something that you're going to be using all of the time. It's in those moments when you need to be heard, in a kind of a noisy, think of a bar situation, or maybe for your profession, you might teach, or you're a professor and your voice needs to reach the back of the room if you don't have amplification. Hopefully, you do have amplification, but um, that's the function of twang. So let's go ahead and look at our first step. Okay, so you can see that I'm not a pro with lighting because there's so much glare from my glasses. I apologize for that. Um, but back to our lesson. Okay, so what I want is for you to approach today's exercise with a playful and a non judgmental approach. And I know that isn't always easy when you're working on changing your voice, but sometimes we have to step outside of our comfort zone, and this helps us to make positive changes. So maybe just find a quiet place, or find some time when your roommates aren't around, and you can kind of be a little bit silly with your voice. Okay, so step number one, we're going to channel your inner child. And of course, I'm talking about the happy inner child. We all have an unhappy inner child, but that's not the one we're channeling today. we are going to think about having a forward focus. So, thinking about speaking in the mask or in this muzzle area of the face, being playful, non judgmental, and we're going to practice a variety of different sounds. And let's look to skip down here to the note section. So, if you've watched one of my past videos that was on diaphragmatic breathing, um, if you haven't, go ahead and watch that. You should be starting all of your exercises with good breath support. We're aiming for a bright sound that rings using a slight nasal quality. We want to make the twang sound softly, but with bright cartoonish quality. Okay. So it's not that we're trying to push the sound out there. We're not trying to push this big, loud voice. We're trying to have a bright voice. Okay. Also, use very clear enunciation, and simply speaking louder does not lead to twang. And again, it can cause vocal strain. So just want to emphasize that. If you have any of the following uncomfortable sensations in the throat, such as itching, scratching, tightening, tickling, anything like that, that's not a good sign. That's not what we want. And what you can do if you do experience that, I want you to exhale a puff of air through the nose before you attempt each vocalization. So it would be like, just kind of like you're blowing your nose. So you're exhaling the air, a puff of air through the nose, and then you say the vocalization. If you do that 3 times and you're still feeling that discomfort in your throat, then step away from the exercise. This isn't the right time to do it. Okay. Um, but let's go ahead and take a look. So the first taunt, first sound that we have is the childish taunt. So, um, and again, we're thinking a little bit of nasal. So whenever we work on words that have the n sound or the m sound, this helps us bring um, the sound into the nasal cavity a little bit because of what's going on in the vocal tract. Our velopharyngeal port is opening, allowing some resonance in the nasal cavity. So the first one is nya, 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 nya. Remember, we're being silly, we're being playful. This is not the end result, okay? We're not going to talk like this all the time, but we're trying to get that bright quality. So let's do that with me. Nya, 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 nya. You hear how that is piercing? The sound really projects. It's in the forward mask area. Okay. The next one you can try is to baa like a sheep. So ba ba ba. All right. Now, here's one thing I want you to do before you execute your vocalization. I want you to pause after I give you the example. I want you to wait like 4 or 5 seconds. Sit there, think about it. Think about where you want to feel this. You want to feel it in the mask, in the nasal area. You want to feel some vibration around the gums, around the lips, around the teeth, especially with the bah, bah. Yeah, it's weird sounding. It's okay. It's okay. It's just us, right? And we're doing this for a reason. So pause 4 to 5 seconds. Think about those things. Think about where you're going to feel it. This is increasing your mindfulness, okay? And then go ahead and execute your sound. All right. The next one is neighing like a horse. Neigh, neigh. It's really bad, but it gets the quality in the front and a little bit in the nasal cavity. So go ahead and try that. Pause for 4 to 5 seconds and then give it a shot. Okay. The next one, if you're old enough, or if you've ever seen the Three Stooges, one of the characters in there used to make this silly laugh that sounded something like yuck, 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 yuck. Yuck, 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 yuck. Yuck, 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 yuck. I haven't listened to it in such a long time, so I don't know if I'm doing a good, how good I'm doing it at mimicking it. But it's something like that. And again, that in sound is opening up the port in the back of our throats, allowing the air molecules to go into the nasal cavity, which brings the resonance in a little bit into the nasal cavity, gives us that brighter sound. Okay, if you've ever watched The Road Runner, um, you know that his signature sound is. I should have listened to this first because, again, I haven't listened to the Roadrunner in a long time or watched it in a long time. Meep, 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 something like that. Meep, 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 meep. Okay. And again, that sound is helping us with the nasal, a little bit of nasal resonance. And then I'm not going to do the nanny voice. If you haven't watched the nanny, if you're not familiar with her, just go ahead, take a look on YouTube. There are plenty of short little clips where you can hear her voice quality. Um, all right. So again, you're going to approach that with good breath support. Let's go on to step number 2. Okay, so we're at our second and final step, which kind of packs a punch because there's actually a lot that in this step that leads you to your final goal of being able to transfer this skill over into the public setting when you need it. So we're going to be moving progressively from the word level up to the phrase level, then to sentences, and then into reciting a poem or reading a passage. And as we work at those different levels, what you're going to do is you're going to preface each word or phrase or whatever level you're working at with your favorite twang sound. So, for example, I'm going to use nya nya, and I'm going to, if I'm working at the word level, then it would be like nya nya, hi, nya nya, who, nya nya, why, nya nya, when. So, you hear how there's sort of a piercing quality to quality. It's my drink affecting my articulation. Um, in the way that I'm speaking those words. So that's what we're looking for. Once you feel like you have established that resonance and in the mask area, that twanginess at the word level, then go ahead and move to the phrase level. So nyuk, 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 in the at the store, nyuk, 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 because I want to, nyuk, 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 in bed. Okay. And then just keep progressively moving up the ladder until you're speaking longer and longer utterances. Ultimately, you want to fade out the use of your favorite twang. Um, and again, we're trying to have forward focus, clarity, and ease of speech when you're speaking in the phrases and sentences. Okay, so give that a try. I would love to have some feedback from any or all of you on how it goes. I hope that was helpful. Don't forget to subscribe and to like. And I've only had one comment, so I'd love to hear if people are actually making it to the end of these videos or not. I have no idea. I could be completely wasting my time. So if you are watching them to the end, if you are practicing them, if you do find it useful, let me know. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great week, and hopefully I will see you next week.